You're watching a Highwire Media podcast. Optimus Prime and Megatron put up a fight, but in the end, the robots were no match for everyone's favorite bio-exorcist. After an unusually close box office race, Beetlejuice emerged victorious over newcomer Transformers 1, to retain the number one spot for 3 consecutive weekends. The spooky Warner Brothers sequel added a strong $26 million from 4,172 theaters, bringing its tally to $225 million domestically and $329.7 million globally. Meanwhile, Transformers 1 kicked off behind expectations with $25 million from a little less than 4,000 theaters. It's a meager start for Paramount and Hasbro's animated movie, which cost $75 million and was targeting a start of $30 million to $40 million. It only brought in $14 million internationally for a worldwide total of $39 million. Chris Hemsworth, Brian Tyree Henry, and Scarlett Johansson lead the voice cast of Transformers 1, the franchise's first theatrical animated film since 1986's The Transformers the Movie. That film was a box office disappointment, though its reputation among fans has improved over the years. Transformers 1, an origin story directed by Josh Cooley about the feuding Autobots and Decepticons, has received positive reviews and encouraging audience scores, so ticket sales could rebound in the coming weeks. Several post-pandemic animated films, including Pixar's Elemental and Illumination's Migration, ended up having the staying power to keep bringing in audiences in the months after their debuts. Yet Transformers 1 might face competition from The Wild Robot, an animated film that opens on September 27th. This is a lukewarm opening for an animation adaptation in a live-action series, says David A. Gross of movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research. He believes it's to be expected that initial revenues wouldn't be anywhere near the live-action Transformers series, which amassed $5.28 billion across 7 films. Industry expectations are high for a big series like this, but an animation adaptation is not going to hold all or even most its live-action audience. It's too big a shift. Another newcomer, Lionsgate's Never Let Go, landed in 4th place with a disappointing $4.5 million from a little over 2,500 venues in its debut. The Halle Berry-led survival thriller is the latest bleak single-digit start for Lionsgate after last weekend's assassin thriller The Killer's Game and a string of August releases, including The Crow reboot, which was a $4.6 million debut, 1992 at $1.6 million debut, and Borderlands $8.6 million debut. Reviews and audience scores have been mixed. Never Let Go holds a 61% on Rotten Tomatoes and C+ on CinemaScore, which doesn't necessarily bode well for word of mouth, and on the $20 million budgeted film. Also new to theaters is Demi Moore's body horror satire The Substance, which opened in 6th place with $3.1 million from a little over 1,900 theaters. Elsewhere on box office charts, Speak No Evil, Universal and Blumhouse's remake of the 2022 Danish thriller, slid to number 3 with $5.9 million from a little over 3,300 theaters. That's a 48% decline from its opening, which is solid for the horror genre. The pitch black comedy of Manor starring James McAvoy and Mackenzie Davis has grossed $21.45 million in North America and $42 million globally to date. Disney and Marvel's superhero sequel, Deadpool and Wolverine, rounded out the top 5 with $3.8 million from 2,400 locations in its 9th weekend of release. The R-rated film starring Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman has remained in the top 3 since its release in late July and grossed a remarkable $627 million domestically and $1.3 billion globally to date. It's the 5th biggest domestic and 7th largest global release in the MCU, also the highest grossing R-rated film in history. In limited release, A24's dark comedy A Different Man grossed $56,000 from 4 screens in New York and LA, translating to $14,000 per location. Overall, domestic revenues are 11.9% behind the same point in 2023 and 25.7% behind 2019. Beetlejuice has been the lone breakout of September, with Tim Burton's film accounting for around 47% of domestic revenue for the otherwise sleepy month. Excuse me. Let me know in the comment section below. Do film franchises often get overextended in Hollywood? You can answer by either yes, they frequently do, sometimes, depending on the franchise, or no, the more sequels, the better. Let me know. And also let me know your general thoughts on franchises as a whole, whether it's Beetlejuice or Transformers or Star Wars. Let me know your thoughts on how far like a film franchise should go. And now, on to our next topic. Trap's streaming release date has been revealed after an $82 million box office run. Trap's streaming release date has now been revealed after the M. Night Shyamalan's thriller earned $82 million at the box office. Released earlier this summer, Trap stars Josh Hartnett as a father who brings his daughter to a pop concert, eventually finding that the event is part of a law enforcement plan to catch a notorious serial killer. Excuse me. It marked Shyamalan's follow-up to Knock at the Cabin and earned mixed reviews from critics. After becoming available on VOD on August 30th, it's now been revealed that Trap is coming to Max on October 25th, 2024. This streaming release comes before the planned physical media release for the film, which is set for November 5th. The film's streaming date comes almost 3 months after its theatrical bow. Trap was made on an estimated budget of $30 million, which is higher than most recent M. Night Shyamalan's films like Knock at the Cabin, 2021's Old, and 2019's Glass, and 2016's Split. Most Hollywood films have to earn between 2 and 2.5 times their budgets to be considered profitable, putting Trap's break-even point between $60 and $75 million, both of which it exceeded. Also unique to Shyamalan is that he had at least partially self-financed all of his movies since The Visit in 2015. This has given him the freedom to make the movies he wanted to make as he shoulders a lot of the risk. So far, this approach has been paying off, and it's likely to continue for his next project. Though Trap only just hit theaters, Shyamalan has already teased his next project, revealing that he's started brainstorming new ideas. Trap's reviews from critics may not have been glowing, but the film seems to have generally worked for audiences, and the box office returns speak to the built-in audience that M. Night movies now have. Though on a much smaller scale, M. Night is like Christopher Nolan in the sense that there are some audiences who show up to the theater just because his name is attached. While nothing has been revealed about the next film, it does seem unlikely it will end up sporting a budget beyond $30 million. Trap is more of a modest theatrical success than a full-blown hit, but the film does have the potential to be a success on streaming. Even with the divisive critics' response, the movie's marketing was effective and sinister, and the twisty premise alone could be enough to get viewers to check it out. Plus, the divisiveness of the Trap ending could actually work in the film's favor purely because it generated conversation. The fact that the film is hitting Max less than 3 months since its theatrical debut also helps, as it won't have had time to really fade from public consciousness. With Trap, M. Night has proven himself a master of unpredictable thrillers yet again. And even when things don't work in his film, one has to admire the swings he takes. DC Studios is one step closer to creating its Justice League, as actor Kyle Chandler is reportedly in talks to star in the upcoming Max Green Lantern show, Lanterns. Details on the latest superhero casting news comes from Deadline, which says Chandler is currently negotiating to potentially lead the series as Hal Jordan. If he were to secure the role, it would only be the show's latest addition to a strong lineup, which includes Lost and Watchmen creator Damon Lindelof, Ozark veteran Chris Mundy, and DC Comics legend Tom King. Chandler's time as an actor dates back to the late 80s. He's since made a name for himself by starring in projects like Peter Jackson's 2005 King Kong movie, Argo, Game Night, The Wolf of Wall Street, Godzilla King of the Monsters, and more recently, Netflix's Slumberland. He's also provided work for a number of animated shows throughout the years, including Family Guy, King of the Hill, and Robot Chicken. Should he land the part of DC's latest Green Lantern? He will join the team alongside Nathan Fillion, who will appear in next year's Superman movie as Guy Gardner. Lanterns aims to light the way for the Green Lanterns to make their debut in James Gunn's and Peter Safran's revamped DCU. The 8-episode Max show was announced in early 2023 and received the official green light this past June. It will center on Hal and his Lantern Corps counterparts, John Stewart, in what has been described by Gunn as a true detective-type mystery. Deadline says the search for John Stewart is still ongoing. Lantern is steadily piloting its way into the future, but currently has no release date. Mundy has been tapped as showrunner, with Lindelof and King picked as co-writers and executive producers. While we wait to see how DC plans to will its Green Lantern show into existence, the comic book universe will kick off in the movie world with Superman in July 2025. So let me know your thoughts on the Lanterns in the comment section below. And with that, we dive into our next topic. Everything to know about Chris Rock's animated revival series, Everybody Still Hates Chris. It's been over 15 years since Everybody Hates Chris's finale aired on the CW, with the title character failing his GED. The series was cancelled back in the day due to the fact that the network was starting to put out other popular teen dramas like The Vampire Diaries and Gossip Girl, leaving little room for the sitcom to thrive. Since then, fans of the show had been hoping for the series to come back to the screen with its original ensemble. Thankfully, the sitcom, based on Chris Rock's adolescence in 1980s Brooklyn, will get a continuation, but it will look a little different from what audiences are used to. Chris's long-awaited return will be in animated form, with the teen dealing with the same old struggles at school and at home. The reboot will premiere soon on Comedy Central, and there's a lot to be excited about, including Terry Crews reprising his role. In case you are looking forward to the show's anticipated comeback, here's a guide with everything that you need to know about Everybody Still Hates Chris. So, of course, obviously, the first question is when and where will Everybody Still Hates Chris come out? The animated series is premiering on Comedy Central on Wednesday, September 25th at 10 p.m. Eastern. The OG sitcom used to air on UPN, a network that no longer exists for you younger people, and then transitioned to airing on the CW. Since programming for the latter has shifted to Canadian dramas and procedurals, Everybody Still Hates Chris wouldn't make sense to air on the channel nowadays. Comedy Central, on the other hand, seems like the ideal place to continue to tell Chris's story. After all, it is the home of several animated shows such as South Park and Futurama. The channel has also recently secured distribution rights to another beloved adult animation, Family Guy. The series started airing on the network at the beginning of September. For those who weren't able to catch episodes when they air on TV, Everybody Still Hates Chris will be available to stream on Paramount Plus at a later date. All 4 seasons of Everybody Hates Chris are currently on Paramount Plus in case viewers want to rewatch it while waiting for the animated revival to come out. And of course, next question, does Everybody Still Hate Chris have a trailer? The series doesn't have an official trailer, but in advance of its release, Comedy Central has been posting a few promo videos of the show. One of them is a clip in which Chris tells his family that he's a grown man, and his parents and siblings burst out in laughter. According to the narration, at 17, Chris Rock was so hated that we had to animate it. The rest of the video has quick glimpses of the protagonist getting picked on at school and blamed for things he hasn't done, which seems about right considering what the main character went through in the original series. Of course, what is the plot for Everybody Still Hates Chris? An official synopsis of the series hasn't been divulged, but according to Entertainment Weekly in a recent article discussing the upcoming animation, the first episode will be a direct follow-up to the finale of Everybody Hates Chris. The pilot will see the protagonist failing his GED and eating with his family at a dinner after receiving the unfortunate news. Upon revealing to his parents that he did not pass his classes, Rochelle literally knocks him into an animation, with the rest of the series being captured in 2D. After seeing Chris's life in live-action form, it will be interesting to see him experience the trials of adolescence and interact with his dysfunctional family through animated visuals. The series will be set in 1980s Brooklyn, so the animations have been specifically crafted to capture the city according to how it looked like at the time. So who is in the cast of Everybody Still Hates Chris? A revival wouldn't be the same if members of the original ensemble cast weren't somewhat involved. Thankfully, Terry Crews will reprise his role as Julius, Chris's hardworking and sometimes goofy father. In an interview with Collider's own Meredith Loftus at the 2023 San Diego Comic-Con, it was shared that returning to the role, Tashina Arnold has been extra special because she's been hoping to venture into animation for quite some time. Although Tyler James Williams, Taquan Richmond won't be back, the characters will be voiced by younger actors. Tim Johnson Jr. From Pacific Rim Uprising, excuse me. Terrence Little Gardner from Coffee and Cream, and Ozioma Akaga from Delilah will play the protagonist and his siblings. Gunnar Sizemore, known for voicing Bao in Kung Fu Panda, The Paws of Destiny, will play Chris's best friend Greg in the revival. As expected, Chris Rock will voice the main character's adult version, allowing for the animation to continue to have the same tone as the OG series. And of course, how many episodes are in Everybody Still Hates Chris? According to IMDb, Everybody Still Hates Chris will have 10 episodes, which will be released weekly. Depending on how popular the reboot becomes on Comedy Central, it could be renewed for more seasons. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Were you a fan of this show? And will you be tuning in to the revival? And with that, let's dive into our next topic, the librarian's next chapter, and has a new home. The librarian's next chapter is landing on a new home. It's no secret that the CW has had its share of issues in the last few years. The sale to Nexstar has led to a new direction for the network, which involves canceling practically every original series it once had, from the Arrowverse to Walker. The CW now appears to only want scripted fare from other countries like Canada or the UK, such as Wildcards and the upcoming Joan. Their slate is more focused on reality TV and sports. Among the shows intended to debut this fall was The Librarians: The Next Chapter. The franchise began in 2004 with a TV movie starring Noah Weil as a scholar whose new job at the New York Metropolitan Library is a cover for him discovering magical artifacts around the world. It was a success that spawned 2 sequels. In 2014, TNT began a regular series of The Librarians, with Weil making brief appearances as his Flynn Carson helps a pack of agents becoming the new protectors of the library and its artifacts. It ran for 4 seasons, ending in 2018. So fans were excited when it was announced the CW would have a sequel series titled The Librarians: The Next Chapter. The series would focus on a past librarian who traveled from 1847 to the present day. He accidentally unleashes a wave of dark magic and has to team up with a new band of librarians to stop it. The new cast includes Jessica Green, Olivia Morris, Bluey Robinson, with Christian Kane reprising his role from the first series. The show was to debut on the CW this fall, only for the network to pull it from its schedule. But don't worry, the show is still coming and on a familiar home. As announced by TV Line, The Librarians: The Next Chapter is going back to the source, as it will now air on TNT in 2025. This is a return to scripted drama by the network, which had seemed to back off of it. Now, not only is this show headed to TNT, it's already been ordered for a second season. Acquisition could mean CW Studios will have more co-productions with other networks in the future. Dean Devlin, the show's creator, was happy about it, as he told Deadline how the deal came about. Brad Schwartz, president of entertainment at the CW, gave his own statement on the jump to TNT. Devlin also shared the producers are working to find a streaming partner for the show. While the 2014 The Librarians is currently on the CW TV website, it's unknown how long it will stay there. Having the show move back to TNT always made more sense, given it's where the franchise got its start. It also seems TNT is getting back into the scripted drama game, which is something many can be happy about. Thus, the CW's loss can be a gain for TNT to get a new series going that has a built-in fanbase. There's still the premiere date to come, but it appears the Librarian's next chapter lives up to its name by returning to its old home for new adventures. You can catch the original Librarian series streaming on CW TV and the CW app. And with that, we'd like to remind you, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. Your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, and be able to take this show on the road. As always, give us a thumbs up if you like our video, hit that subscribe button down below, and stay tuned for our next episode on Wednesday, where we dive into a review of Brooklyn Nine-Nine Season 1. And with that, I'd like to thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time. Take care.